Who is Dayo Odeyingbo, the new Bears pass rusher who signed for 3 years, $48 million with $32 million guaranteed? I watched some of his tape. Let's talk about it. What's going on, Bears fans? Nicholas Moreano here with another episode of the Nicholas Moreano Show. Make sure you like, subscribe, leave a comment. That's going to help grow this channel, get out to more of you Bears fans, and just going to help me get to, keep doing this and keep expanding to more of you people that are wanting to find out more about all these players that the Bears just signed. The Bears were busy yesterday, and I'm still catching up, honestly, with, watching a lot of the tape from the guys that I wasn't familiar with. And Dayo Odeyingbo from the Indianapolis Colts is definitely somebody that I had to do some homework on just to see who the heck he was. Yes, he's a young player, only 25, and, only had, 5.5 sacks last year? Sorry, 3 sacks last year. 5 came in 2022. His career high is 8, which happened in 2023. So young, not that proven, but let's talk about it. What did I see watching some of the tape? And we'll kind of get into my notes later on as I kind of talk about this. But I think where I want to start with Dayo Odeyingbo, and just to kind of give everybody like a Spark Notes version of who he is. Let's go back to last season. He had the most pressures created in his young career. He's only finished his 4th season in the NFL. 42 total pressures. In 2023, he had 29. That was his second most. So you see him kind of steadily progressing in that area, which is great to see. And this is a guy that was a former second-round draft pick, number 54 overall. Maybe that's why he wears number 54 out of Vanderbilt. But you'll notice just kind of watching on tape too, and I wonder if he's going to bring this approach to Chicago. He wears the black cleats, man. I don't know how I feel about the black cleats, but he stands out, and maybe that's what he wants to do. But Dayo Odeyingbo, just watching some of his games, seeing what he's about, he's somebody that he is primarily being a guy that's 6'6", 286. He's going to line up mostly on the outside for Dennis Allen in this defense. And the physical makeup, that's what Dennis Allen wants in his defensive end. He is bigger. He can set the edge, what I was seeing on film there. So he's going to play, I think, primarily on the outside. But I think he does also provide a little bit of versatility. And I saw some people making the comparisons to a DeMarcus Walker in terms of how you can line him up inside, maybe outside versatility. I think there's a little bit of truth to that. So just kind of looking at PFF, and they have these detailed positions, snaps by position. This is how the Bears used him last season. Again, this was a Matt Eberflus, Eric Washington type of defense. And obviously Dayo Odeyingbo with the Colts last season. So this is how they were used last year, where they lined up. And doesn't mean that's going to be reflective of what he's going to be, Dayo Odeyingbo, doing for Dennis Allen in 2025. But DeMarcus Walker, the Bears love to put him on the right side of the defense. That's what they like doing. He had 457 snaps right and outside, and then 148 on the right end. He didn't really line up all too much on the left side. Obviously, there are some snaps there, but not all too much. Dayo Odeyingbo, on the other hand, the Colts, for a majority of the time, lined him up on that left side, left end outside, left end. But he did have 146 snaps as I'm looking all the way over here on my monitor, right end outside, 146 snaps there. And so when I was watching Dayo Odeyingbo in the 2 games I watched, and his best overall graded game from PFF was against Houston in week 8. And then 2 weeks later in week 10, he had his best pass rushing game against the Buffalo Bills with a 75.4 grade. You're definitely going to see him line up on both ends, both sides. But I said primarily how the Indianapolis Colts used him, left end outside. Like, they're going to put him on that left side. But you did see him on the right. There are times where he was in a zero technique. There are times where he is in the B gap between that tackle and guard. You see him playing a 5 technique, 7, 9. So he has some versatility in his game. And I think how his frame is built, like, he is a lengthy guy, but he does have some weight to him as well. Like, he is 2 inches taller than DeMarcus Walker, who was 6'4", and he's 6 pounds heavier than DeMarcus Walker. So I think he carries his weight pretty well just looking at him on film. So I was definitely we'll start with the Houston game. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of read my notes verbatim just to kind of give you an understanding of what I saw from Dayo Odeyingbo. And I think it was pretty encouraging from that Houston game where, again, it was his best overall graded game. When I got to Buffalo, even though that was his highest rated pass rushing game, I felt like I felt a little underwhelmed by what, I was expecting and what I saw, but I'll get into that one. But first, obviously we got to get into the game against the Houston Texans, which again, highest graded game. And so I have my notes here. We're going to read them. And so let's start with my first note. Like his second move versus Laramie Tunsil, able to knock his hands out of the way, gets past the left tackle, and touches quarterback after he makes a throw. Second rep, gets into Tunsil's pads, not much movement, decent get off. Drives tight end, Dalton Schultz, to the ground. Looks like he trips, though, over his own player. So took down for a grain of salt, but lined up versus the left tackle, eventually works inside and closes in on the quarterback. Pass gone before he gets home. Off the field for the sixth snap of the game, 3rd and 10. He went versus the left tackle, left guard, tries a spin move. He wasn't on the field, though, for the start the second series. And then the third series, lined up versus that right tackle, locked up. Right tackle gets his hands on, and I just put OD to abbreviate there, and he isn't getting around the edge. Nice jump chop club move to get by the right tackle. Willing to try some things. Then I have a note, wide stance, 9 technique. Works around the right tackle. Pass thrown, left screen. OD works through a whistle and tracks down the ball carrier inside. Quick, fast hands. Destroys Stroud on 3rd and 11. Lined up between the left tackle, left guard, and wins that matchup. And seeing him line up in multiple spots on the D-line, like I was telling you. Not on the next series, but back on the field. Nice swim move to get inside. Right guard just bear hugs him. Takes on the tight end, wide receiver who are blocking. Tight end falls. He helps to set up a teammate to make a tackle. Odeyingbo tries the jump chop club move again against the right tackle. And then really quickly, for people like, what is a jump chop club move? Think of Robert Quinn. Think of Aaron Donald, where they kind of do that. It's almost like they're floating in air for a second, and then they come down. They'll try to rip through it. But you saw Odeyingbo try that. And I appreciate that because it's a willingness to try some moves. Like I said, there's a spin move. I'm going to read off a bull rush here in a little bit, but some inside moves as well. So I like that Dayo Odeyingbo is willing to try some things. So that is what the jump chop club is. And did see that quite often. I think I'm going to, relay off that here in a little bit. Let's see. Now we have lined up versus tight end. Bench presses him, stacks, shed, and then finds ball carrier in space left on a screen play. OD gets out there, help make the tackle. Also fights through a wide receiver trying to block. Nice use of hands versus Tunsil. Smacks his hands down, turns the corner, and then sets the edge versus the right tackle. Have a next series versus left tackle. Works left to right. Bounces off Tunsil. Gets inside left guard. Absorbs a block from the center and applies pressure on Stroud. Great freaking rep. And then I have him lined up over the center. This next series sets the edge versus the right tackle, forces the ball carrier back inside, have him inside between the right tackle, right guard. Previous rep, he was outside the right tackle. Then next here, we have great inside move, lined up outside the right guard, gets skinny, creates a mess inside. And then Tunsil takes on the bull rush touchdown to get Texans right before the end of the half. And then I have here, rushing from a 2-point stance. So a little bit of variety. Most of the times you're going to see him hand in the dirt. That's kind of what Dayo Odeyingbo, what I saw a lot of. But I think that's also what you're going to see Dennis Allen ask of him. But I have right here, rushing from a 2-point stance versus the right guard. Turns a corner at the end, but ball was already out. Defense looks gas. Gives up a huge play downfield. Unblocked off the right edge and hits Stroud. Incomplete pass, forces a field goal. And then right tackle locks him up on a bull rush. Stroud escapes right, finds an open wide receiver downfield for a big play. And nice job setting the right edge. And then I have another note. Runs to the opposite side. OD avoids blocks from the tight end. And that's those are the notes from the Buffalo game. Or sorry, I'm going to get to the Buffalo game. That was the game against Houston. So a lot of good things I thought were in there in terms of the pass rush moves, where he was lining up, the effort he was playing with, the get off as well. In this game, he didn't have the tackling issues that I think I'm going to mention in the game against the Buffalo Bills here. But I saw a lot of good things that you want to see translate to Dennis Allen's defense when he's playing opposite of Montez Sweat. So some really good things. Before I go and share some of my notes from the Week 10 matchup against the Buffalo Bills, where Dayo Odeyingbo is graded as having his best pass rushing game, look, I have to tell everybody about Windy City Sports Cards. Look, they specialize in buying and selling all things related to Chicago sports. Whether you're a diehard fan of the Bears, Bulls, Cubs, White Sox, or Blackhawks, they've got you covered with an extensive selection of sports memorabilia and collectibles. In addition to their Chicago-focused items, everybody, they also offer a vast collection of sports trading cards and memorabilia from your favorite teams and players. Visit their online store to find out exactly what you're looking for to complete your collection or discover a new favorite. Go check out Windy City Sports Cards. They've been supporting the channel since the beginning here, and I really appreciate them. They have awesome merch. They have awesome products, memorabilia, collectibles, all that good stuff. So go check out Windy City Sports Cards. All right, you guys, this is Nicholas Moreano. This is the Nicholas Moreano Show. Let's kind of get more into my film breakdown of what I saw from Dayo Odeyingbo, and we're going to go to Week 10 versus the Buffalo Bills, Josh Allen, and that explosive offense against the Indianapolis Colts. So here's what I saw in Week 10. First note, works through a block versus the right tackle, attempts to get in on the tackle. All right, right tackle, then neutralizes OD, loses footing on the bull rush. Missed tackle on the running back, gets 20 yards. OD had a clean open shot, but dove at the ankles and missed. That was something I noticed too. He's like diving at angles. I don't get it. He's so big. Like, why not just make a secure tackle? Was not on the field after that play. Next 3 plays, actually. Missing on the next defensive series for the first few plays. So taking some time off there. Then I have here, good rep versus the right tackle. Works into O-line's body. Keeps his hands, feet moving. Able to get his right arm on the quarterback as he throws. Pass is off tight end's hands. So disrupting Josh Allen there. You love to see that. I have this next note. Rushing over the center. That's zero tech. Lined up, head up. So like I said, he's going to line up in multiple spots here. So you definitely saw that. Versus 2 tight ends. Gets through both of them, but can't get the running back in time as he ran up the middle. Loops inside and strong rush versus the right guard. Gets a hand up in the quarterback's face, but just an amazing throw. Lined up inside versus the right guard the last 2 plays, and then OD has a chance to tackle Allen, but misses as he dove at his feet. Allen finds a man downfield. 44-yard gain could have been prevented. And then 2 snaps lined up outside the right tackle on 3rd down, lined up over the guard and engaged with the center to set up a stunt. And then you have him in a 2-point stance. I mentioned that in the last game. Versus the right tackle, goes with the bull rush, but ball was out way before OD could get there. And later in the game, not showing much creativity in his rushes. 4th quarter, 14-20 on the clock. Then 4th and 1. He gets good penetration versus the right tackle. Like that, he's punching at the ball. Allen gets the first down, but I have OD is trying. Nice jump, chop, club technique versus the right tackle. Gets around the corner. Tries it again, but right tackle was ready for it. Then attempts an inside move versus the right tackle. Right guard right there to help. Looks like he hurt his hand and then comes off the field. Then comes in 2 plays later, lined up between the right tackle, right guard. And then I have a note. Sets edge, bench presses the right tackle, sheds the block and gets in on the tackle. And then the last note, out of position on the edge, can only get a hand on Allen's arm as he's running away. QB gets outside, gains 7 yards on 3rd and 3. So those are my notes from, again, 2 games, Houston in Week 8, Buffalo in Week 10. So after watching a little bit of more of Dayo Odeyingbo, I definitely feel better now than I did when the signing happened. Look, to be completely honest, had not watched a lot of Dayo Odeyingbo from the 2024 season or even before that. And obviously the Bears did play him. What was that, Week 3 in Indianapolis, if I'm not mistaken? But, it wasn't somebody that I was too familiar with. I feel a little bit better now than I did before watching some of his film. But I will say this, and, I've been on record, I was on, Fox 32 talking about how I wanted Josh Sweat. And that is somebody that I did want. I did want the Bears to go get and see, if that could be a good pairing with Montez Sweat. But Josh Sweat, he signed with the Minnesota Vikings, if I'm not mistaken. Make sure I got that right here, as like I'm still catching up with all this news and where everybody's at and things like that. But yeah, like that's a guy that I was thinking the Bears should have been on, and maybe they were. Like we don't know if they were or not, or like what's the what other edge rushers were the Bears actually interested in, and now, oh sorry, signing Josh Sweat's going to the, is that right, with the Cardinals? Oh, I don't know why I thought he was going with the Vikings. Apologize. Erase that from your minds. It wasn't even there. But Josh Sweat going to the Cardinals, I do like that for them. Like that's going to be a guy that I think could do some really good things over there in Arizona, and something I was interested in. But I'm not out on Dayo. I can't be. Like at this point, there's no reason for me to be out on Dayo Odeyingbo. Neither it is for you. Is it maybe a, I don't know, a bit expensive? $32 million guaranteed, 3 years. 48 million, like that's a pretty good contract, guys. That's a pretty good contract if you're Dayo Odeyingbo, as you're still looking to, I said it, prove yourself in this league, show exactly what you're capable of doing, because the numbers, if you're just looking at the numbers, they don't reflect maybe that contract, but there's still, I think, a lot of upside. Like I said, still a young football player. He won't be 26 years old until September 24th. So you got a 25-year-old who's coming off of his best year in terms of total pressures created, according to PFF. And hopefully Dennis Allen sees the exact vision he needs to have in place to get the most out of him, but can also be a complement to Montez Sweat and the rest of his defense. You have Grady Jarrett inside. You have Javon Dexter, Andrew Billings. Let's see how this unit comes together. And I think Dayo Odeyingbo is going to have to be a big part of that. And we're just going to have to wait and see how that all plays out. But the film that I watched, it did have me more encouraged than I was, like I said, before the Bears actually signed him to the contract that he currently has. So it's a big move for the Bears. And I'll say this, signing Dayo Odeyingbo to a 3-year, $48 million deal does not, or should not, take the Bears out of potentially drafting an edge rusher with that first-round draft pick, or either the 2 second-round draft picks. No way. If there's a guy that they like there, and maybe they move back from 10, maybe they select at 10, and they absolutely should take another pass rusher. You can never have too many of them. Never have too many. So that's just my philosophy on it. I'm sure, other people can agree with that, but that's not like an indictment on Odeyingbo. That's just how it should be. You should be adding still players in. Even though the Bears completely overhauled the interior of the offensive line, they still like an offensive lineman at 10. I'm all for it too. Keep building. You want to have your own young talent in the building. A lot of these players, the Bears, they weren't originally in the building. All 3 of the guys in the interior for the Bears offensive line weren't here. Traded for, signed. Montez Sweat, traded for. Dayo Odeyingbo, signed. You see, like, none of these guys were homegrown. Darnell Wright is, and, I think he can show some good things in year 3 here, but I think there is something to drafting your own players, developing them, and then, getting them to that second contract. And I do want to see the Bears continue to do that, but that's what Dayo Odeyingbo brings. I'm looking forward to seeing how that's all going to translate on the football field, but now you have a better understanding of what he can do when he's out there. And, hopefully we see more of that consistency, more of those pressures, because that's how this Bears team is going to take it to the next level. But that's going to do it for this video, you guys. I wanted to, share what I've seen so far. Like I said, I'm feeling better about it. And hopefully you do too. If you're on the fence, like, who the hell is Dayo Odeyingbo? And obviously I knew of him, but I didn't know a lot of what he was like or what he did as a player. So now I have a better understanding, and there's still so much more film I can watch, and I'm sure I will, but now you also have a better understanding. But that's going to do it. Appreciate everyone for tuning in, watching, commenting, sharing this video. It helps me out here, you guys, as I'm continuing to grow the Nicholas Moreano show. And I swear, intro, logo are coming I don't want to be like too quick on this, but it should be this week. And I cannot wait to unveil and show it all of you guys. And it's going to make everything look a little bit more legit. It's going to be cool to see that too as well. I think you guys will enjoy it. But that's going to do it for this episode. Make sure you go back and watch all the other content that I have posted. Drew Dahlman, I gave my analysis of, him. And I was a guy that I know I wasn't the only one advocating for him to come to Chicago, but, I definitely was. I was one of the early ones, I would say. And look, when he's a top-rated center, it makes a lot of sense. But I put out a video on my YouTube. Go check it out. Give that a like. Leave a comment. And subscribe. That'll help me out too. But that's going to do it for this episode, everyone. Until next time, adios.